Alrighty, hey everyone, welcome back to the stream. I have Seth with me for another redeemed lesson. Got a double header today. How's it going, Seth? How's your chess been lately?
Chess has been okay. My rapid games have been a little trashy the last few days. I don't know. I'm on a vacation, sort of, maybe not as focused. But classical games are going okay. So
Cool.
that's good. Yeah.
Okay. So for you, I actually have maybe a game or two I wanted to play through with you. We're basically
Yeah.
just gonna do some solitaire chess.
Okay.
I'll just have you. Have you done solitaire chess before?
No.
Okay, it's pretty
No.
simple. You
Yeah.
basically just guess the move, and
Okay.
of course the thing is, it's you don't know if it's a puzzle. You don't know if you're supposed to play a normal move. It's just all about how
Gotcha.
you think about the game.
Right.
So we'll play through the first few moves of this game,
Okay.
and yeah, for those of you in the chat, if you've seen this game before, that's absolutely fine. Try not to spoil anything for others, I guess. But okay, this game starts out with Rui Lopez. Um,
Yeah.
Black played d6 here. White played d4. Bishop d7. Knight c3. Knight f6. Castles. Bishop e7. Rook e1. And now black played e takes d4. Actually, this is a good question for folks. I'm sure many know this one. At this point, after rook e1, it actually is important for black to give up the tension and actually take on d4, because if black were to castle in this position, white can actually go ahead and take on c6 and take the e5 pawn. Let's say queen takes d8, rook takes d8, knight takes e5, which would not be possible if this rook wasn't already on e1 defending
Defending.
the pawn. So then black could just go bishop takes e4 and just win it back. This is actually a famous game, Tarrasch Marco, where black did try to take the pawn here, using the fact that white has a back rank problem. But Tarrasch refuted this one quite beautifully and quite elegantly. I'll just quickly show it because I think everyone should see this game. He played the move knight d3, so covering the back rank and setting up the skewer. Black played f5. He played f3, so attacking the knight. Black played bishop c5 check, kind of the only move, and now very, very accurate. A lot of players would suggest king f1 here, kind of like keeping the attack on the knight. King h1, black gets out with knight f2 check. But on king f1, black can actually escape with bishop to b6. So saving the bishop. The point being that if white takes, black's rook opens up on the f-file, and after takes knight f4, g5, black would actually win the piece back and be more or less okay. So Tarrasch avoids this very tempting continuation in favor of knight takes c5, which seems like, how could white win from here? But it turns out that after the very strong move bishop to g5, followed by bishop to e7, white is actually winning material. And the game concluded rook d5, bishop e7, rook e8, and now the final move, I'll have you, Seth, find this one for white. That forced resignation.
Um. not like folding under the pressure here.
I know it is pressure, but don't worry about it. Canada moves for white.
Our bishop takes c5, and c4, c4, c4. Yeah, c4.
C4, exactly right. Yeah. And black simply can't hold on to the material. Maybe best they can do is like rook takes c7, give up the exchange or something, but
Right.
this pretty much hopeless anyway. So very beautiful game, and all forced, all 100% correct. 99.6% accuracy, chess.com. Right. And basically shows why when black kind of plays in this somewhat passive manner, they can't just try to hold on forever, because white simply wins a pawn. Black didn't have to take on e4, but then would just be a pawn down in that position. Okay, so in this game, black instead played e takes d4. White played knight takes d4. And here black castled, so now the drawback is that black has given up a little bit of space, but overall still a solid position. White played knight takes c6 here, b takes c6, and now bishop to d3. So this is actually kind of an interesting moment, because I think a lot of players would naturally play bishop c4, but likely white was not too convinced here that they're doing well after bishop e6. Like if we trade, for example, black gets a lot of pawns in the center, e5 can be met with like knight d5, and yeah, I think actually black is pretty solid here. In fact, you can, yeah, maybe even take. I think it's not so clear that white is doing well there. But okay, let's go to the game. White played bishop to d3. Black played rook to e8. And we'll start here. So go ahead and feel free to take some time here to think about what you would play as white.
So, I mean, I guess e5 is my first candidate. Do you want me to talk through the thought process, or just say the move when I come up with it? Or?
If you don't mind, hearing your thought process would be good. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I'm thinking like e5. If black takes, then you play sort of against, or yeah, black takes. Rook's a little loose, but I think you play with the, I don't know, the two bishops against. It looks like there's a lot of positional pluses for white in that position, especially the isolated c-pawns. I don't see any tactical drawbacks to that. Also, if they don't take, they move their knight. Actually, there's no really. Oh yeah, I guess knight g4 doesn't look too promising for black. That knight looks like it'd just get kicked around, and then that'll start kingside attack and bring the queen.
What do you mean exactly? The knight gets kicked? Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I was thinking, yeah, never mind. Well, if knight g4, yeah, I'd have to think of my instinct is that that knight can't like stay there. But I guess you could play f3, um, attacking it. That does sort of ruin ideas of trying to bring the queen in, um, to like h5 or something. But you could also play h3 there, and then h3. I don't know. That could be risky though, giving black a hook there for their own possible attack. But h3, and then the knight would go back. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that wouldn't be good. h3 knight would have. Uh, oh, the knight is attacking e5 in that position. Yeah. Okay, that's a detail. That's an important detail.
Yeah.
So yeah. Well, all right. Maybe not so good. Okay, so maybe knight g4 is a little annoying then for white. If after e5, yeah, knight g4, then you might have to resolve the tension. You might have to take on d6, but that doesn't look so great if taking trading on d6. So not sure what white gets out of that continuation. Um, so maybe also thoughts or could be playing just developing, play bishop e3 doesn't look like no, that seems wrong. Bishop f4. There's also thoughts of like maybe playing f4 yourself. Is
Mhm.
that a thing here in this position? Yeah, playing f4, then maybe e5 or f4, f5, um, to gain space on the king side. But you did not. It seems incongruent with the position because usually when you play f4, you want your rook on the f file, but maybe it'd be all right here if you played f4 then e5. Uh, yeah, I don't know. I don't see I don't see anything like super tactical in this position, although um it's possible. I'm sure the chat's making fun of me right now. But I'm sure
No. Seth, I try not to do too many like gotchas with my lessons.
right,
Pretty
right.
straightforward.
Yeah. So well, um but yeah, maybe just developing bishop e3, bishop f4, bishop g5 doesn't I don't really like that square for my bishop too much. I just don't think I'm ever going to trade it for that knight. Um so and then like trying to bring the other rook to the to the d file. So like bishop e3, like a plan of bishop e3, queen e2 or f3, and then rook ad1 at some point. Um, yeah, obviously black gets the move in there too, I'm aware. But um, those are just like this sort of some of my plans, just for like where the squares my pieces want to be on. Um, but yeah, I think other than maybe just doing another move to prepare e5. Although I guess it doesn't need to be prepared, but I think maybe h3 taking away knight g4, then e5 with the idea of e5. So like h3, then if black, I don't know what black's plan is here. Maybe rook b1 or b8, then e5. I don't know, something like that. Um, All right, other candidates. I don't see many more ideas than that I would like consider. Um, maybe queen f3. Um, no, no, I don't like that. So yeah,
Well, okay, but now the fun part. Now I would like you
to make a move.
to choose your move. Yeah, and for those of
Okay.
you like watching in chat or watching on YouTube later, if you guys want to follow along, I would say the best way to do this, to really be truthful to yourself, is to write your move down. That's how we usually do it in like we'll do solitaire chess in the U.S. chess school sometimes, and I think it's really good training. Greg is also a big fan of it, but it's important to actually commit psychologically to something, because that's what you have to do in a game. You have to make a move.
Right. Yeah, I'm sort of. All right. Yeah. I'm sort of not liking any of my bishop moves, which was kind of my intention. I don't like bishop f4, because of knight h5. Maybe that's not that bad. Um, um, all right, just, I guess just bishop e3 seems like a slow move, but I don't know. Just keep up with the development.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, bishop b3 is probably what I'd play here.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a very reasonable move. In fact, White has quite a few reasonable moves. I want to go into some of the lines you looked at. First of all, actually, let me point out bishop f4, knight h5. You do have this one covered, so.
Oh man, I've blundered that sometimes too.
Yeah. Now I remember as a kid, I did that once. I just played knight h5, and my opponent just took it with the queen. I was like, oh no, never again.
I've done that.
So this one was playable. Actually, I want to actually look at e5, because this is definitely a really important move in the position. Because if black takes, then it does feel like white has accomplished quite a significant thing here, which is that you've now isolated the double pawns, and they're much weaker than with the pawn on d6, where this structure, I would say, is actually not that bad for black, because the pawns are kind of like shielding each other. Now in e5, you didn't like this one because of knight g4, but actually you do have a tactical win here that I want you to spot, because it's a nice idea.
So it looks a little Greek gifty. But not quite. So if bishop h7, no, I don't think that works. But then if no, it doesn't work. All right, something else.
Candidate moves.
Okay, well, bishop h7 was a thought, but I don't think it works. E takes d6. Maybe h3 deflecting the knight. Even if it takes e6, then you have bishop h7. But I thought no, because you don't have the. You get a follow-up check with if king takes h7 with queen h5, but nothing beyond that. So it's not a good way to lose a piece. You have e6. No, doesn't do anything, I don't think. Ugh, what's wrong with me?
No, you're okay.
What's wrong?
You had the right move there a moment ago. You just kind of rejected it, I
Yeah.
think, without fully taking a look at it.
Okay. Well, okay. I think I said 3D. Well, no, I've said four things, I think. So, but if bishop takes h7, king takes, or no, if e6, bishop takes, or e6, rook takes, pawn takes, queen. It's just losing material again, but then queen takes g4, and then how do they stop bishop h6? e6, rook takes, it's an exchange sack, pawn takes on a pawn, or no? Oh, wait, that's two pieces, isn't it, for a rook?
Yeah.
Yeah, so two pieces for a rook, and then, yeah, so maybe it is e6.
Yeah, absolutely. E6. So it's not like we're winning a bunch of material, but this is more of just a evaluation. Like two pieces in the middle game, especially if you have kind of reasonable attacking chances, you have some targets.
Yeah.
Generally, yeah, we want this for white, so that white would have big advantage here. So nice trick with this knight g4. No, that's okay. I mean,
I'm having trouble counting pieces. It's really bad. In calculation.
Yeah, I mean it's. I mean, okay, just a matter of practice.
Yeah.
But important idea to watch out for. This knight is kind of like, it's kind of loose. It's defended just by the one piece, and we have this way of immediately messing with the coordination. Okay, so knight g4 would be met with e6, but the problem with e5 is that after d takes e5, rook takes e5. Now black can throw knight g4, and despite the pawns, actually, black does get some nice activity here with this move, followed by, depending on where the rook goes, either bishop d6 or bishop c5. For example, rook e2, bishop c5. Actually, it's a little bit unpleasant for white to have to now defend this f2 pawn. And like queen h4 possibly coming, it can get pretty risky. So for this reason, white did indeed play h3, which you considered, to your credit. And I would say this is a nice move. Not like, okay, 100% the best move necessarily, but it's a nice move because it's like, well, once you see that you're kind of getting hit with knight g4, I should also point out in case of bishop g5, I would say this is, again, a very normal move, but black could consider something like, let's say, h6, bishop h4, and again, knight g4, with idea of either trading the bishops or putting the knight on e5. So like takes, for example, followed by putting the knight on e5, where it will stand pretty solidly, or if like bishop g3, black can first start with like bishop f6, and yeah, gets a good control over this e5 square, where it's not so easy for white to push f4. Yeah,
that feels like the bishop on g5. It's like you have to be ready to trade it, kind of, and like, I don't know, it feels like in a e4 opening, that's like in a d4 opening, oftentimes you get the dark square pawn chain and trade dark square bishops, and that's pretty good. Just seems like, but I don't know.
Yeah, not necessarily. I would say
seems less desirable in this position.
No, I would say actually this is often a good place for the bishop, because it's like, okay, it's not a real pin, but
yeah,
if black wants to kick your bishop, they have to go g5, which is not good for the king.
Good,
And if they don't have this easy like knight g4 idea where they can just neutralize the pin, it's kind of unpleasant because, for example, black, after rook e8, a lot of times the plan is to bring the bishop back to f8. But now if they do that, then they are putting themselves in a pin, and it's not exactly comfortable. So the bishop is active on this diagonal. So certainly is reasonable, but yeah, knight g4 kind of solves black's problems in a nice way.
Right.
So white starts with h3, just a very flexible move, because it's like in all these positions, it's nice to stop knight g4. Bishop g4 is also a potential annoyance. For example, if white played f4, then bishop g4, kind of awkward to deal with.
H3 is a move I usually don't like to play unless I like really have to. And sometimes I end up, and so I do sometimes miss it. It's, I feel like a lot of players, beginner to intermediate play it too much, but it's a move that
Right.
I don't play enough. Probably I usually play like a move too late once like the annoying piece has already gotten to that square and I want to kick it away instead of like stopping it from getting there.
Yeah, no, it's a good point. It's not easy to determine when it's right and when it's maybe too early. Absolutely. Okay, but let's continue. So h3, black played bishop f8, and okay, white to play.
Now I want to play e5. Black has stopped it for the moment. So, now that and bishop f4 cannot be chased away by knight h5, so I would be thinking about bishop h4. It also, even if h5 wasn't covered, it still couldn't be kicked away by knight h5 because now you've played h3. But anyway, so bishop f4 is my first candidate. I guess I would check. I would check to see if e5 just works anyway for some tactical reason. But yeah. No, I don't think it does. So, you could develop, I don't know, bishop f4 develops and prepares e5, and e5 looks good. Looks like a worthy goal. So I would say bishop f4 would be my move here.
Okay. Yeah, again, very reasonable move. Nothing wrong with this one. In the game, white played bishop g5. Was there a reason, actually, you mentioned this one, was there a reason you weren't fond of this?
Bishop g5 here?
Mm-hmm.
No. I didn't actually I probably didn't spend enough time on it.
Okay, that's fine. I mean, strategically, if white can get e5 in, that is definitely a good goal. So bishop f4, again, nothing wrong with that move. Mm-hmm. And it's important when you're doing solitaire chess to two things. Number one, don't be too hard on yourself because there could be multiple good moves in a position. And so just because you didn't choose the game move doesn't mean your move is bad. And number two, also don't be too easy. Like sometimes, your move might be good like according to the engine, but then doesn't exactly make like human sense. So
it's not like consistent with your thought process.
Right. Or like, the engine can make your move work with some tactics, but like you didn't calculate any of that, right? So you don't really get credit for it.
Yeah, right.
So it's all about finding the balance. But as your coach, I'll say bishop f4, totally reasonable. Okay, black played h6.
I think bishop h5 or bishop h4. You're not gonna take the knight right here. Makes no sense.
Okay.
Yeah. I guess you could go back to bishop f4 and then go back to my idea. But if you played bishop g5, it's like, why would you then? Why would you do that? So I would say bishop h4 here.
Okay, good. That was played. And now black played rook b8.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Well, I guess we can defend it with b3. Makes the knight a little loose, but it seems safe-ish. It might not want to stay on that square for much more of the game. I don't know. Actually, I don't know about that. I don't know about that knight. That's a piece I'm not sure what its plans are. I guess it should check. There's no like real tactical elements that jump out at me. I think black's position is pretty solid, or at least tactical elements for us. The tactical, or for us to attack. The only thing I think under threat right now is b2. So I don't see anything like good enough for us to like play with ignoring that threat. I guess so. B3 seems fine. Rook b1 doesn't seem totally desirable. I feel like that rook wants to come to the semi-open d file, so I don't think that's where it wants to be. I mean, you know, sometimes, yeah, there's no like b pawn thrust that you're angling for, obviously, against the rook on the black's rook. So I guess you could defend with queen c1 or knight a4. Queen c1, no, I don't like it, because you want to connect your rooks at some point, so why waste a move with the queen when you want to move it anyway? And then knight a4 I would only do if I was, you know, looking to bring it into c5 or something, but that's not a feature of this position. So I would say b3 would be the move here.
Okay. Yeah, so b3 and rook b1 I think are just about equally good, and yeah, the two best moves in the position. In the game, white played rook b1, but I don't really see anything wrong with b3. I think it's actually kind of a toss-up. I'm not even sure what I would play if I had this position. But you are right that queen c1, knight a4 definitely not desirable, because these pieces just don't want to be there. Rook b1 is okay because, like, well, basically, you know, white's not 100% committed to keeping this rook here for the rest of the game, and so it's like not a huge concession. Like, neither move, let's say, is perfect. The problem with b3 is that your knight is now a little bit loose, and this can be an issue in some concrete variations. The problem with rook b1 is that you might want to one day just play b3 anyway, so that you can get your rook somewhere more active. So you might be giving up a tempo in the future, though again, that's not necessarily going to be the case. But both moves are, I think, equally good. Okay, rook b1 is played, and now black plays g5.
Bishop g3.
Okay, yeah, not much to consider here.
Yeah.
Bishop g3 indeed played. Now it's interesting to ask, like, why would black play g5 here? It feels like an unnecessary weakening. Whoops. But if we go back to this position, let's say another natural move for black would be to play something like bishop e6. to kind of improve this bishop. But then white can consider e5. White can also consider f4, which is probably even stronger. And then the threat of e5 is actually it's quite unpleasant here for black. And so, okay, for this reason, black decides, oh, I don't want to deal with this, plays g5. Bishop g3, and now black goes g4. And white to move.
I assume this was played by someone better than me, so. But
you could say that.
Yeah. So to me it looks like insane, but I guess it is plausible. All right, so obviously if h takes g, that brings the knight to g4. With the idea of queen h4, so that looks a little risky. No, not queen h4. What am I talking about? But maybe queen. No. Maybe queen g5 to h5. After h takes g, knight takes g4, and then that would be maybe you'd be inviting those ideas for black. So maybe risky. I think e4, or I'm sorry, e5, again, looks potentially good. E5, you have to be ready for, I guess, g takes h3. Yeah, I do think, well, is black maybe faster to use the open G file than white in that position? So again, maybe a rook lift here, since I want to play against black's king now, sort of. I also have bishop h4 repinning the knight, again, but you have to deal with g takes h3. I have h4, just stopping that idea altogether. Not altogether, but for the now. You have queen d2 attacking h6. Oh, no. Bishop's on f1. Yeah, f8. Yeah. All right. It would be good if possible. Let's see. You could play f4. No, I think that's too weakening. Yeah, too weakening. Yeah, I don't know. G takes h3 is a threat here.
Mm-hmm.
To win a pawn and open up your king. Although g takes h3, g takes h3, bishop takes h3. Do you have like ideas of like king h2 and then rook g1? Or is that too slow? Is black gonna come in and like slaughter you? Yeah, I guess black's knight's coming to g4. No, can't, because I don't know. That gets really sharp. So I think you just play. If you play h4, yeah, I guess you play h4 here.
You go for h4?
h4.
Okay. So yeah, this is definitely pretty tough moment for white. because black kind of initiates some contact, and you're right not to be a fan of hg knight g4, because yeah, black gets queen g5, the bishop comes to g7, knight gets the e5 square. So at the cost of black's structure, black does get some nice activity for the pieces. And you know, you can play f3 to kick the knight away, but then knight just goes back to e5. And then if you play f4, you give up the g4 square once again. So it's kind of like no simple solution. So h4 is not great. It's very logical to try to like kind of keep the structure solid. But the problem is this move knight h5 is pretty annoying. Hitting the bishop, eyeing the h4 pawn, and yeah, not giving white an easy decision here. Because if we lose our bishop, then black's dark square bishop becomes quite an annoying piece.
Yeah, that's an important detail.
So let's go back to this position, and in order to find the right move here for white, I'll ask you, what is the drawback of black's last move, g4? What is black giving up with this push?
Just giving up f5 and h5 a little bit. It has pieces that are controlling it for now, but long term possibly.
These two?
Yeah.
Well, these squares were already...
Right, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Oh, yeah, they were already gone. So it's giving up, now it's giving up f4 and h4.
Right.
Yeah, which it had before. And then, yeah.
So can white use this in any meaningful way?
Well, I looked at bishop, yeah. Well, bishop f4 and bishop, I guess I don't think I said bishop f4, but I sort of thought about it when I saw like the idea of like queen d2. Like if you play bishop f4 then queen d2, that could be a possible problem for black. That battery, hard to defend. The question is like if it's too slow, or if like black is going to smash through before you get your counterplay.
Right, because black is kind of threatening to take on h3. That's kind of the other issue here, and that's what makes this a difficult position for white. Because I mean, it's like, okay, pawn is just hanging. King h2, I think, would be a reasonable move. Let's say just defending the pawn. But the move played in the game, bishop h4, is really strong.
Bishop h4.
Because let's say reignites the pin.
But so now I guess I was just too worried about g taking h3 in this line. Right,
which is exactly the first concern that white should have. I mean, what happens on gh3? Now, this move wasn't played, but let's take a look at it, and let me ask you, try to find the justification for white. Not like an immediate, tactical win, but just how can white try to fight for the initiative here?
Yeah, you maybe... So maybe king h2, and then like, yeah, I was thinking like king h2, then rook g1. I did like king h2, say if h takes g, rook g1. Black has bishop g7 and all these lines, I guess, to sort of shield the king. But then if like bishop g7, rook takes g2, and then the bishop's pinned. Yeah, you have some like multiple pins going, and then where you'd like to bring maybe here you can play e, or you can I'm thinking maybe you can, I don't know, I guess you could take on f6 followed. No, never mind. I was like to bring the queen in, but I don't like that. A way to get an initiative here. E5 just seems to lose a pawn, but is there something you get for it? I'm not sure. These are kind of positions I do struggle with, though.
Yeah.
Rook E3 maybe, just lift it and bring it in right away that way, more directly.
Okay, Rook E3 I think is the best move you've suggested so far here.
Yeah.
But no, I mean it's I do think these are the positions that yeah, are maybe a little bit difficult for you because like they really require you to focus on the dynamics, and it's hard when your opponent like has just captured a pawn, and now the idea is like, well, basically you ignore it and you try to see what threats you can create in the position.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this: what would be a possible target here for your pieces?
Yeah, that's H6 is potentially weak. G7. Oh no, because I don't know, that bishop on F8 sort of covers like mating ideas. The knight. So like queen F3, the knight, black has to defend the knight, but which is pinned. And then, so as to play, it can unpin with bishop E7. But then, so yeah, the queen F3 looks promising, attacking this pin knight. Queen F3, if bishop E7 breaking the pin, you have checks, like queen G3. And now the bishop isn't there to come to G7 anymore. If bishop G7, you can still increase the pressure maybe with like E5. And then if they take, you can bring knight to E4. You clear that square and bring that piece in to the attack. Yeah, so maybe piling up on the pin piece like that in that kind of way.
Yeah, absolutely. You nailed it. Queen F3, I think would be very strong. And then if bishop G7, which is kind of the move black wants to make. Black doesn't want to go back like bishop E7. Then the king starts looking. Right. But we'll take a look at this one. If bishop G7, very important to see this idea with E5. And then whether black trades rooks first or takes here. Knight E4 is coming. And this is really, really painful. Rook E6, bishop C4. And you're just hammering on this pinned piece. Exactly.
Yeah.
And now, okay, black took here. I mean, it's very inconsequential. It's just a pawn and nothing special. There are, of course, some tactical ideas to look at even here. Bishop G4, importantly, is met with knight takes F6 check. And then this one hangs with check as well. So not working. And yeah, basically black is just under heavy, heavy pressure. And if bishop E7, I mean, I think white has a number of good moves here. You can probably just even take back and then go with your idea of king H2, rook G1. That looks very, very promising. You're the one that's kind of more active on the king side. Just comparing the queens, it's big, big difference. Also strong would be a move just like E5 and simple recapture followed by bringing the second rook in. And this is kind of what I meant earlier. It's like, okay, the rook on B1, if it comes to E1 with like some huge threats, then yeah, you can just leave the B2 pawn alone and no big deal that it cost us a tempo. Okay, very good. Yeah, I mean, these kinds of moves are, I think, some of the hardest to find in our calculation because, of course, you would have to kind of see the idea from here before playing bishop H4.
And it took me like 8 8 candidates to find it from the position
from here. Yeah,
right.
but that's the process. I mean, and
Yeah.
that's often how I learned. Like going through the games, it's like the moves that were played were definitely not intuitive, but first
Hmm.
you kind of see the idea, you see the masters in action, and you go through enough games, you pick up these ideas over time.
Queen F3 is pretty natural. I'm not sure why I was tending to overlook that. I'm not sure, but
I mean, it's a complicated board. There's a lot going on. I guess a helpful thing for you was just focusing on the specific target. The weakness in Black's position. Once you kind of
right.
think about it consciously, then it becomes very, very apparent that this piece is a big problem for Black.
But yeah, even when you said like right, like obviously if you get over the like the action of what's happening, the immediate looking at the immediate capture, just zooming out from that.
Mm-hmm.
From there, though, it feels like Queen F3 is pretty natural once you can get over that part. But
Yeah, which
no,
is a difficult step.
not sure why I'm missing that. Yeah. So right, that the ignoring the G takes H3, I think that seems like the hard part.
Yeah, we can definitely be very reactive in chess, especially when it comes to material and captures. But yeah, that's just one of the one of the things that separates like really strong attacking players from players who are just kind of playing a kind of very straightforward game, like move by move, and trying to
Yeah.
keep things solid. But okay, chess is a game about taking your opportunities. So Bishop h4 indeed was played, and a very strong move. Black continued h5, and okay, white to play.
Um. Well, maybe E5.
Mm-hmm.
E5. E5 if takes knight e if D takes E knight E4. Um, you can still put pressure on the knight even if it's harder for the queen to join, but you also, well, I don't know. Well, knight E4, then the knight, let's see a further destination like G5, G5, and then you're opening up the bishop. Yeah, you're unpinning the knight in that position. Um, so E5, I guess, is my first candidate, considering the ideas we've sort of just discussed. Then if yeah, HG, bishop takes G4. Don't like that. Queen D2, maybe. Looking to bring the queen in to. Kind of don't want to attack the pin piece. I feel like with the queen in front, it's not really a pin anymore. So bringing the queen to G5, I guess, isn't that helpful. But I do kind of want to create like an avenue of infiltration for the queen, it feels like. But yeah, maybe E5 is good. Well, E5. Problem is with E5, yeah. It's definitely a pawn sack, and it's not clear that you just have a tactical win on the back end of it, or at least a gain. So it's sort of a positional pawn sack.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but you're just looking to bring more. My strategical sense is like if I just kind of want to bring more pieces to the king side and punish black for their play for the for the weaknesses they've created for themselves. But maybe that's the wrong intuition. E5, it also gives a little. You also have rook e3, maybe. Rook e3, and again the rook lift idea, and then maybe you can bring the rook to the g file and take and attack. I'm not sure. I can't decide if like e5 is impatient or not. You know,
Yeah.
If it's like you need it now, or if it's like or if you haven't like it's not ready. Maybe queen d2 here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think maybe queen d2 with the idea of queen f4. Same idea as queen f3. It's a move slower, but they can't. But we have, like we said earlier, they gave up the f4 square with g4. So maybe that idea, queen d2, I think I like.
Okay, yeah, queen d2, I think very reasonable move here. There's quite a few good moves for white in the position. But on queen d2, I should mention it's very important that we're aware of this kind of like counter idea that black often has when bishop is pinning on h4 and queen is on d2, and that's this knight takes e4 shot. So this one is a very thematic trick that's always worth looking at. I think in this case, let's say we take back and then like you put your queen on f4, for example. I think you are getting quite a bit of initiative here for the pawn anyway.
Yeah.
But okay, just important in like knight g5 coming, for example, like on bishop g7, knight g5 is with a double threat g3, queen f7 is pretty brutal.
Yeah. Yeah, the queen's choked off, suffocating.
Yeah, so this is a nice resource, but of course we have to kind of be on top of that.
Where? Yeah, for sure.
On that note, you could then say like, well, queen c1, and this move would make a lot of sense. And yeah, if you get your queen to f4, that's an excellent square. And I mean, white has huge advantage here. Okay, let's look at e5 a bit because you were definitely considering this one. And yeah, like intuitively, it hopefully does look very promising because you're opening up the bishop, you're opening up your knight and your rook. But it does kind of depend on how we follow up, because if de5, let's say knight e4, black goes bishop e7, white doesn't have such an obvious move here, and now black is threatening to just start trading off a bunch of pieces. So white certainly has compensation. Black's position is full of weaknesses, but you would have to kind of come up with something here to keep the initiative going. Maybe knight g3, maybe bishop g3, something like this to avoid all the trades. That said, though, knight e4 is not by any means forced because, well, with a positional sacrifice, usually one thing that's often the case is that you don't have just the one way after that to kind of demonstrate your advantage. The point is that black's position is full of weaknesses. So again, you can consider moves like queen c1, queen d2. Bishop c4 also looks very tempting, just like kind of putting pressure, maybe one day hoping to bring the rook to the d file. So here white just has a ton of play for sure. Okay, in the game, white actually played hg. Not the only good move in the position, actually, by a long shot, but an interesting one. Now, you rejected this. I think you didn't like bishop takes g4. Is that right?
I didn't like that, yeah.
Okay, so in the game, black played hg, but on bishop g4, try to understand, what do you think would have been white's continuation here?
Probably queen d2 or c1.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, basically just getting out of the way, and like, okay, the bishop is on g4, but it's not super stable here. You can also just play like f3 and then follow up with one of these queen moves. And yeah, basically black hasn't solved anything. The king is still very exposed, and as soon as you kind of get your pieces in, there's going to be big problems. So this one maybe we kind of underestimated a little bit, I think, for white.
Yeah.
But okay, HG, black recaptured. And actually, I'm just going to make the next move, because basically it's like, again, kind of the same. Like, the position hasn't changed that much. But white's idea was to actually play f4 here. So nice move. Now white wants e5. And if black takes en passant, then the queen gets in very nicely, and now the f file is open for white's pieces. And again, black's king starts looking weaker and weaker.
Yeah, that's...
So black played bishop e7. Okay, and now white to play.
Right. When we said bishop e7 was not where they wanted to go.
That's true. Yeah, not a happy move for black.
But this pin is probably, because otherwise e5 probably just wins if you don't. It might win anyway. Well, you can consider taking now on f6 and just scooping up the g pawn. No, you can't. God. All right. Sorry.
It's all right.
Yeah. If you could, that would be good. All right. But e5 is not a pawn sack anymore. So e5, if they trade pawns, then move. I don't know where the knight's going. I don't know where that knight's going. So e5, d takes e, f takes e, knight h5. And then you trade the bishops on e7. Yeah, well, how do you get... Queen. Not as clear as I thought. F5 is also maybe a move. Seems like we want e5 to bring in the bishop and the knight into the king side, to bring them, give the bishop scope and the knight a square to come in. But f5 is threatening to take the knight and then scoop up the g-pawn. And I don't know how black deals with that. They could play d5. I think you take, yeah, it's not a problem. Well, yeah. So f5 looks like it might be good. Not sure what else. Maybe rook lift too, rook e3 again. But no. I would have said definitely f5 looked like the wrong way. Like I would think e5, but f5 might just work tactically. I can't see why f5, if like f5, yeah. In a game space, I don't know. I think f5 is a good move. f5.
Okay, that would be your choice?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, sure. So yeah, there's two good moves in this position. F5 is one of them.
Okay.
But I mean, the real point of this one is we just go back to bishop e7. Let me ask you, what do you think black's idea is? Like, if we just gave black a free move here, how would they try to untangle?
Maybe try to get some, maybe like knight h5 or knight h7 and try to trade the dark square bishop off.
Yeah, exactly. In particular, knight h5 is quite unpleasant, actually, because it like hits f4 pawn, and it hits the bishop, and yeah, pretty annoying for white. Like, okay, we just give black a free move, knight h5, and then yeah, actually the attack starts losing a little bit of steam as soon as we trade off these pieces. And on e5, actually this would allow black to play knight d5, where now the bishop on h4 is hanging. And if, let's say, bishop takes e7, queen takes, it's actually not so obvious that white is doing well here.
Yeah,
because f4 is hanging.
No pieces.
We have fewer pieces now. Takes, queen takes d6, and or even like queen h4. Some g3 ideas could be annoying. So f5 is very strong because it stops knight h5. Now you just take on g4. And if black can't untangle, then black's position is really tough. I'm not totally sure if we want to take this one, because although we do win the pawn, we give up the really important dark squared bishop, and we can imagine black setting up a blockade on the dark squares.
Yeah, it's such a. I'm like, I win a pawn with check, so it's like, well, you got to do that.
Yeah, but it's.
I know.
No, but it's again, it's a nice move. I mean, and all of black's pieces are now very restricted. Knight can't move, bishop can't move, this bishop can't move anywhere. It's like you're just not in any rush to take on f6. You know, maybe you even consider like rook e3, rook g3, or you can think about actually bringing the queen in again, something like this, and yeah, basically on top. So this move actually just as strong as the move played in the game. Which I was actually, the move in the game, by the way, to me was very, very impressive, and not a move that I think I would find. But white actually played bishop f2 here.
Yeah.
Which looks like, I mean, very odd.
No. Yeah.
Really
but
strange move.
Does he want to reroute it to like d4 or something?
Well, basically he's just getting out of the way of this kind of like discovered attack, and he's preparing e5.
He wants e5. Okay,
and
makes sense.
And so, of course, logical once you see the move, but yeah, when we're attacking, these are not the moves that come into mind. Not for a while. But it's a very powerful move, because now e5 is indeed a very strong threat. Again, opening everything up, kicking the knight away from f6, and getting to black's king. Okay, well, black played a5. Not the best move, but
that feels like I don't know what else to do.
Exactly. It's very relatable. It's like I don't know what to do. Okay, pawn is hanging, whatever, a5.
Yeah.
Okay, white to play.
Well, I mean, if we played bishop f2 to play e5, I don't see what black did to stop it. So that has to be the first thing I'm looking at. Yeah. It's got to be e5. Is there any... okay, should I look at something else? I don't even... Is there something... I mean, you know, all the moves. I guess Rook E3 also looks plausible, but I think it's E5.
Yeah,
I'm
indeed.
confident.
Of
Yeah.
course. Yeah, e5 was play. I mean, that was the idea. Black did absolutely
Yeah.
nothing to stop it. So yeah, it would be very strange to go back on the plan. So e5. And yeah, now things are getting very difficult for black. In case of, let's say, knight d5, the idea then would be to take, pawn takes, and now white's point would be to push e6. Kind of similar idea to what we've seen before, breaking this connection and implying a very strong exchange sacrifice after bishop e6, just taking this one.
Yeah.
Queen comes in, and I mean, you can calculate further, but it's like, yeah, immediately.
Where's that king going? Yeah.
Right, just looking very bad. Yeah, white is queen, 2 bishops coming in. This rook can get into the game at some point and going to be very, very dangerous. F5 also, yeah, pointed out by Sunny, very strong move and should be good for white as well. So black took. Okay, your move.
I was going to like impulsively just say F takes, but Rook takes might be better. Is there something else I should look at? Rook takes. Yeah, I like Rook takes E5.
Okay. So the idea.
Rook, yeah, just yeah. I mean, I've been like looking at this Rook lift. Now it's like we get it with the yeah, for free basically. I don't see like, okay, so maybe I should have like looked at like bishop d6 or something. But I don't think that's a problem. You have rook g5.
Yeah, at least rook g5, and then we can figure out what to do from there. Yeah, rook e5 is definitely good. Definitely a good move. But wait, no, indeed plays fe.
Okay.
But rook e5 also, I mean, white is much close to winning there, absolutely. But white's point, fe, hit the knight, and kick this knight away from the defense of the king side. Because this knight often holds everything together. It's like the one piece that's stopping like bishop h7 ideas and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, maybe that might be slightly instructive then for me. Why you take with, like, maybe it's a little more valuable to kick that knight out now than to bring the rook in now.
Yeah, I would say after this one, white's play is a little bit more intuitive. Okay, black tried knight h5. And white to play.
Let's see, e6, and with the exchange sack idea, yeah, if e6, bishop takes, rook takes, bishop takes e6, rook takes e6, f takes e6, queen g4 just wins the knight. So you get the 2 pieces for the rook. It's not even a sack. And then the king is bad permanently, and I assume will die soon. So
let's double check that real quick just at the end.
Yeah. Okay. E6. Bishop takes e6. Rook takes e6. F takes e6. Queen g4 check. King h8 maybe. Queen takes h5. Queen just testing my visualization, but it's I guess knight can block instead of king f8. That black has knight g7, a move earlier, getting out of check, and I still think we're okay. Well, like, so the follow-up there might be bishop d4. No, can't do that. Queen covers d4. Yeah, maybe not so clear on e6 then, unless there's a better continuation. E6 if bishop takes, no, because I don't think you play, you only play e6 if you're ready to, I think, sack that exchange. Otherwise, why did you play it? Right, because it doesn't disrupt the coordination, then it just gives a pawn away. So, so I don't know. It's maybe like unnecessary e6 here. I think the position's starting to look overwhelming, and maybe we don't need to invest material in our attack, right? Or at least not right away. So maybe knight e4 is a good move. Queen d2, rook e3, all just like bringing pieces into the attack. Seem good. I can't decide which one. Like I think sometimes where I struggle, like formulating, like it's like I can see the attack forming, I know to bring it in, but like picturing the exact, like how the attack goes, like if we like, what, when we win material or checkmate the king, what is like the sequence that exactly leads to that. Maybe having those sort of ideas in my head would help me tell which one to bring in. But I think the queen is like the most important piece to get in there first, maybe. I feel like the knight e4 would be good too, but I think maybe queen d2, as long as it's not stepping into any knight forks, which it's not, or bishop or anything that any tempo moves. Well, it does run into bishop g5, if that's a problem. Could be a problem. No, yeah. Okay, so maybe not. Maybe knight e4 first, then bishop g5 isn't possible after queen d2 or c1. Maybe knight e4. Knight e4 seems useful. I don't think we're gonna like miss our chance here, so I think we can just sort of one piece at a time bring them over.
Okay, so knight e4 is your move.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I mean, knight e4 looks very sound to me. It's an interesting moment, yeah, because it's kind of like a practical decision not to sack, if you don't necessarily need to. But let's analyze this one. Let's take a look, because of course you were honed in on e6, and the big question here was queen takes g4, knight g7, whether white has enough or not. So I think the mistake you made here that is very, very common is that...
Oh, I missed queen e6. Well, no, never mind.
No.
Covered. Yeah.
The mistake you made that many players make when they do this kind of exchange sack is that you try to like calculate it until resignation, which is not necessarily a bad thing. But the point here is that you have positional compensation, tremendous positional compensation, meaning what's your compensation? Black's king is extremely weak and your pieces are extremely active. So this is a position where you could actually probably just give the move to black and you're still completely winning. Like, that's how much compensation you have. So the point is, it's like, it's hard to visualize, past this, right? This is already 3 moves for each side, a couple of sacrifices. It's difficult to keep this visualization accurate and then continue calculating from there. Instead, the right thing to do is to come up with the correct evaluation.
Yeah.
And so
it's hard.
Yeah.
It is hard to play. It's just really hard to play a positional sack, I think, for me.
I mean, I say positional, but I don't think everyone would even agree with that, because I mean, you're playing for mate. The positional comes from the fact that it's like,
it's still positional compensation, right? It's just,
honestly, now that I'm thinking about it, it's not even fair. It's dynamic compensation. Your pieces are more active. Yeah. So positional is definitely not accurate, but the point is, it's like, you don't have to calculate it out all the way till checkmate. Instead, what I think many strong players do is they just kind of understand that, like, position has to be good, and then once I get here, black gets to move, right? But or I have a number of good options. Once I get here and I see the position, then I'll be able to better decide which of these is actually the most crushing. But what you're saying is you're banking on this position being good for you, provided you find one of several good continuations. Now, some positions are complicated where, like, you might only have one path to victory. And so that's kind of risky, because then if you don't find that, like, one precise line, your opponent gets out. But this is where kind of like the positional stuff comes from, because it's like, again, black's king is very weak. Your queen, bishops, knight, rook are in excellent position to just immediately get in. So these are some of the factors that, like, a player sees when they go for something like this, that kind of gives them the confidence to play it, even if they don't fully see it until the very end.
Yeah.
So you're basically just banking on the fact that you will have resources once you reach this position. Now, does that mean it's worth going for it from this moment, when you have knight e4 and bishop c4 and queen d2 and all these other moves? It's a tough call. I mean, I think it will even vary from player to player. But I would say, if you're confident about your evaluation, and a lot of times we actually end up, like, underestimating the position. Like, in our minds, we might think it's something like, +2 or +3 with white, and then once you get here, the engine says it's actually +10, right? It's like actually way better than we ever thought.
Right, and it's better, like, I have a better chance, I think, of just accurately evaluating this position 3 lines deeper than, like, trying to calculate it to, like you said, resignation or mate or whatever, because, like, right around here, the calculation is going to start to get fuzzy anyway.
Exactly.
So it's like, it's like you're better off just stopping here and evaluating this position than trying to continue calculating from here.
That's right. Now, someone in the chat is saying what needed to be seen is, like, bishop g6 and queen h3. And actually, I fully disagree. This doesn't need to be seen, because white has many good moves here. Bishop g6 is not the only good move for white in the position. So
it does like jump out, like, now that you're in the position, it's like your immediate candidate 3 moves earlier. The harder to see before this position's on the board, but like you said, it's not the only good move.
Yeah, and so that's where the intuition really comes into play. How do you build up the intuition? Just by looking through games and trying to learn from exactly these kinds of moments. Okay, so this was all played, if that wasn't clear. And okay, I'll have you continue. What do you think white should do?
Well, they're saying bishop g6 and whatever else, queen h3.
That was just a suggestion. That's not necessarily.
No. I think queen g6 looks possibly even stronger. That's right, queen g6. I don't know what Black's well, I guess king. All right. So queen g6, bishop g6 are candidates. Queen, queen h3 also makes sense to me. All sort of threatening similar things. Queen or bishop g6 threatens the rook immediately, but as well comes with that. But rook. Uh, yeah, now I have a mind. I'm not sure whether if the rook should come to e1 or f1. Both look possible, but actually I think one might be definitely more correct than the other. I'm just not sure which. Um, hmm. I think I would play queen queen g6, king f8. Yeah, maybe queen h3 is better. I don't know. I'm feeling a little indecisive here. But yeah, maybe queen h3.
Okay. Yeah, I think this is basically good enough. In the game, queen g6 was played, but pretty much same idea.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say these moves are pretty much close to identical. Rook moves as well, rook d1, rook e1, rook f1, also all good for white. Okay, queen g6. Black tried rook to b4. And now white to play.
What are they trying to do? Let's see. Maybe like rook f1. Um, now I see. I'm not sure what their rook b4 move is trying to do. How the I assume it comes landing and defend something. Playing rook f4 themselves and keep us off that. Well, it doesn't work. Rook. Are they trying to counterattack? I don't see it. Yeah, rook. I like rook f1. Just the idea that we can once we deliver, keep the check in our back pocket, and then the king is going to be a little bit in the current position is a little boxed in if it gets the f file, and then the rook sort of could restrict it there if our bishop moves out of the way. Our rook could either be restricting it or giving or giving a check. So yeah.
You like rook f1?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. Yeah, this was played in the game. Very nice.
Yeah.
Black tried rook f4.
He did try. Okay. It was rook f4. Rook or let's see. I don't want to trade rooks particularly, but maybe now queen h7. H7, king f8, queen. Yeah, queen h7. Feels like you can maybe start your king hunt, but maybe not quite. Yeah, I think queen h7 is good enough though.
Okay, played.
Yeah.
Black went king f8.
So then queen h8,
Let's say king f7.
then queen h5. No. No. Hold on. I'll think about that one for a sec. Yeah. That's what I was playing with queen h5. Just goes back. It's not so obvious. Yeah. I'm bad at this.
Sorry.
Maybe 94.
Is that your move?
Huh?
Is that your move?
Yeah, I think 94.
Okay. I mean, at this point, I mean, it's it's looking very nice for white. I do want you to try to find the most, let's say, decisive move here, because there's one move that really just ends it.
Okay, well, I guess I should have looked at bishop g6 too, maybe. Bishop g6, yeah, bishop g6. Now you're threatening queen h8 mate, right? And I don't see like very good ways of stopping it. So I think bishop g6.
That's good. Let's say bishop f6 for black.
Bishop f6. Right. Bishop g6, bishop f6, queen h8, king e7, queen g7, king.
Remember, black put the bishop on f6.
Oh yeah. Right. So bishop g6, bishop f6, queen h8. Then maybe we just take the rook. Bishop takes e8. Wait, are we down material right now? No, so right, we sacked the exchange, so it just wins an exchange back. Not what we were hoping for. I got it. Bishop g6, bishop f6, or yeah, bishop f6. Then you get bishop c5. Check.
Bishop c5. Excellent.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was okay. Bishop g6 was resigned in view of bishop f6, bishop c5, little cross check from this angle, and it's similar to actually your rook f1 idea, just cutting the escape first, and now black is just getting mated next move.
Right.
Okay, very good. Yeah, I mean the end there. Actually, I would prefer to give you more time in this position because it is pretty sharp, and in a game it's not about just intuiting the right move, but just about calculating to the finish and just finding the right line. But well done. I mean, you played the attack well. Queen g6, queen h3, pretty much the same. Rook f1 was very good, and then okay, here we just have to be precise until the end. Earlier, guys, bishop d4 is I'm sure was a good move earlier, but we have to be very careful with queen takes d4, and then in this position on bishop d4, the response would have been bishop f6, where okay, white has a good position, but black is still surviving for the moment. Well done, Seth. So okay, people were asking, this was the game Tarrasch versus Steinitz from 1898. Really nice game by the great Dr. Tarrasch. I say this often, but I think he has some of the most instructive games of players from that era, which includes like Steinitz and Chigorin and Pillsbury and Janowski and Marshall and all these guys. Very well played start to finish. Just starting from here with like h3, and in particular the sequence with bishop h4, setting up this pin, and I think this move f4 was quite strong, and then bishop f2 we talked about. I thought was very, very impressive, seeing as how he couldn't quite make e5 work in view of knight d5, where black actually gets quite a bit of counterplay, so very patiently backs the bishop up, with the point that black now cannot stop e5 from happening. And then, yeah, from here, of course, the e6 sack, I think, was very good. And yeah, basically just another extremely well-played game by the great master Tarrasch. Okay, well done, Seth. Hopefully that was instructive for you.
Yeah. Excellent. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a fan of this approach, solitaire chess, just trying to like guess the move. I mean, of course, you are not usually working with another player who can kind of like, feed you little hints and push you in the right direction. But in general, when we're playing through games, if you guys take just 1 or 2 minutes per position and just think like, what would be your first instinct here? What would you play? And then compare it to what was actually played. I think just this little practice alone can be worth quite a bit, just to kind of show you the difference, right, between your thought process and the thought process of one of these great players.
Yeah, that's a good drill. I suppose it gives you like a good like idea or like structure of like, they say like how to study games, right? Trying this activity. Yeah,
and some players, they make a game out of it. You give yourself like 10 points if you get the right move. You give yourself partial credit if your move, let's say it was like engine approved, and then you can kind of see how you match up. Actually, I think Grandmaster Soltis did a column for Chess Life for many years where he would like present a game where the goal was to like cover the moves with like a notebook and then play solitaire chess, and then he would like kind of award points based on if you got the right move or if you suggested like a reasonable alternative. In terms of finding which games to study, that can be kind of tough, but there are lots of good books out there of annotated games, Chernev, Nunn, many authors with good collections of annotated games.
Yeah. Seems like an annotated game would be more useful, right? Because then you can compare your thoughts with the annotators.
Yeah, if it's not annotated, you have to do kind of more work to understand whether your move was good and also whether the game move was good. Because of course these guys rarely play perfect games; they often make mistakes as well. So just because you didn't guess the right move doesn't necessarily mean you messed up.
Right.
But all right, guys, that's going to wrap it up for this lesson. We're going to go on break, and then we'll rate someone in just a bit. But thanks, Seth, for joining me. Hopefully everyone enjoyed it. If you missed the previous part, the lesson will be up on YouTube in the near future. And coming up later today, David will be on to teach a couple of group lessons. So you might be back today, yeah?
No, I think that's a scheduling. I think that's a computer glitch. The classes are over, so no group classes tonight.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay then. Well, maybe David will be back anyway.
Yeah.
But if not, guys, I'll quickly remind you we have a tournament coming up. Let's see, do we have the command ready? Yeah, we have a tournament coming up tomorrow. Practice tournament for the National Open. You have the link there in the chat. You guys can go check out if you would like to register to play for that. But all right, I'll be seeing everyone later. I'll be back tomorrow as well. And catch you guys next time.